So now we talk about one of the core concepts of not just Java, but of any object-oriented programming language. That is the concept of a class and an object. So for doing anything in an object-oriented programming language, you guys should have a good hold on these two concepts, guys, because everything we do in any object-oriented programming language, not just Java, revolves around the concept of a class and the concept of an object, right? These are at the core, these are at the heart of anything that you do in an object-oriented programming language, guys. And starting with the idea of a class, right? Just a sec. Just increase the font a little for you. All right. So idea of a class, guys, right? So, and for understanding these object-oriented programming topics, I think it's best to take up real-world examples, right? Real-world examples that you can relate to, right? And for understanding what a class is, right, I'll take an example, but for now, just understand that a class is a prototype, right? It is an idea of something concrete to come later on. It's just in your mind, right? It is just a way of defining the behavior of something else to come later on, right? That is what a class is. And I can take in n number of ideas that are there in the real world for us, but let's take a good example here. I'll take the example of the class human, right? That is the almighty's idea of human, guys, right? Okay. Now, think about if the Almighty was a Java developer, right? How would he have thought about the class human? That is, still there are no humans here, but obviously that the idea would have been formed well before there were humans present on Earth, right? And Almighty, for example, thought about humans as being having these particular properties, two set of properties. That is, humans would have eyes, right? They would have ears, they would have a heart, they would have a brain, right? They would have legs, arms, and all those properties that all of us have, guys, right? That is what humans have, right? Let's say mouth as well. And also the second set of properties that humans possess, Almighty thought about it and thought about that humans would be able to see, would be able to hear, would be able to move, smile, laugh, cry, play, sing, and die, right? The properties that humans have. In addition, obviously, to all these, one of the important properties that all of us have is the ability to breathe and sleep as well and work, for example, right? So, but still, this is just an idea. This is just a prototype of something else, of something concrete to come later on, right? This is like the idea on a rough piece of paper, guys. It just doesn't make complete sense, but makes little sense. That is, we are at least being able to define an idea, right, of something else to come, right? That is the idea of a class, right? And then what is an object? The concrete implementation of this idea of human, right? And that is when, if we think about humans, see, this was on a piece of paper, right? But then when the real object came, that is when a newborn comes into the world, we call it an object of the class human. And it's again one of the classic examples of understanding a class and an object. The idea of a class and an object, guys, this is just in your mind, but the real thing is an object. And how would I define the object in the real world? It is a physical manifestation of this idea, a physical manifestation of the class, or you can say a personification of this idea of a class, right? And as well as you would have heard it many times, that is an object is an instance of a class, right? A physical manifestation, a personification, the concrete thing which takes memory is an object. And it has all those properties which you have defined in a class. And if I do it through Java terms, how would you define class? With the keyword class, as we have been doing since a few days now. And that is just maximized a little for you. Okay, see, I'll say a class, for example, class human. Again, if Almighty would have been a Java developer, Almighty would have defined the class human as like this in Java terms. Now, this was obviously understanding it in the literary sense, but this is for you to understand in the Java terms. That is, for example, int eyes, ears, for example, here, heart, and then some properties like void eat, void sleep, void die, for example, and all other properties that humans have, right? This is an idea of the class, right? That we can obviously now demonstrate in Java terms, right? And how can you create an object here? In the real world, the object is created when a newborn comes into the world, right? A newborn baby, guys. That is when we say this is an object of the class human, right? And then how do we do it in Java? There is a syntax for doing that. You say something like this, that is type and then the identifier. That's how you create an object of a class in Java, guys. That is the syntax for creating an object of a class, right? First, define the type. The type can be multiple types here, but for now we'll stick to class, right? And let's say if we are creating an object of this class human, so with this syntax, I'll do it like this. That is, the name is human. Then the identifier for this, I'll tell you what do we put this identifier for. I'll say a ref, and then assignment operator. The keyword new is used to create a new object in Java, guys, right? And that's why I'm using new here. And then the type, that is human, okay. And then a pair of circular braces and the semicolon, and then that is how you create an object of the class human here, right? And what is this ref? Ref is a reference variable. So actually there are two types of variables in Java. We've already talked about the first type of variables. Those are called primitive variables or primitive type variables. What are those? That is, which have the type within those 8 primitive types, that is starting with Boolean, ending with double. And what are reference variables in Java? These are variables which don't have a type within those 8 primitive data types, but they have a type of a class or an interface or an abstract class, for example, right? That is what a reference variable is in Java. And these reference variables have a capability to refer to real objects in memory, right? But never call them the objects. They are reference variables. They are referring to actual objects in memory. That's what they are, all right? So I'm saying human ref, new human, right? If I were able to draw a diagram of this for you, I'll just do it like this. See, you say new human, it creates, it reserves a memory for you. So you can just draw it like this, for example. And then you have a variable that is ref, which is referring to this object in memory, guys. That's how you can do it. And then afterwards, once you've defined the object, you can say ref dot the methods, that is it, for example. And whatever you've written in it would be called. You can even say ref dot eyes, for example, is equal to 2 because we have 2 eyes, right? Every human has that. And that's how you create an object in Java, guys. And by the way, we can also create an object in a shortcut way, that is just like this. That is new human, without creating the reference variable. Because I said that we just require the keyword new for creating a reference variable, for creating an object in Java, right? This. And this is one of the efficient ways of creating an object in Java, because you can directly say dot sleep, for example. After this line, this object created for you is said to be lost. And once an object in Java is lost, we can never get back to it. So why did I say this is an efficient way to create an object? Because you want to just use it, throw it, right? Use and throw, right? I don't want to keep a hook to this object. This is like a hook. See, ref refers to this. But if you create an object like this in Java, it's created like this. See, some memory is reserved for you like this. Nobody refers to it. And after this line, this object is said to be lost. And as I said, once it is lost forever. You cannot refer back to it. So that is how you create an object in Java, guys. And obviously, we can create as many objects as we want. I can say human of this time, another ref, and then I can say new human, like this, right? So this is creating another object. The reference variable is different. So that is about how we create classes and objects in Java. I'll see you in the next